Good afternoon, Muttonistas. It's been a while since I last brought you an Irish vlog filled with pints of Guinness from the toe of my body right to the top of my head, but it's time for another one. And where am I, you might ask? I'm in a small town called Charlestown in the west of Ireland. You might wonder what I'm doing in such a small town. Well, join me for today's vlog and you'll find out exactly what I'm up to here. Okay, I am not having a long weekend or a night in Charlestown. I'm sure you can have a pretty good night if you happen to be here, but I flew into Knock Airport today. My friend Adrian, who you've seen in other videos, is going to pick me up. Was going to do from the airport, but he's running a bit late, and I thought, well, let's go somewhere where there's a decent pub. Knock is a very, very small airport, but thankfully the guy at the information desk actually doubles up as a taxi driver. So he said Charlestown's the nearest place, and I said, well, just recommend me a pub with some good Guinness. He said go to Murray's, so who am I to argue? Oh yeah, that is great stuff. I have been missing that. Again, miles better than any pint you'd get in England. I wouldn't say it's like a top pint that you'd get in Ireland, but I have to say, there are so many little bars in little towns and villages all over the country that serve a great pint. It's easy to be surprised by how good it could be. In fact, sometimes I've rocked up at noon and you could swear they've had a lock-in till about 9 in the morning because the Guinness is on such good form. And anyway, I've no idea whether this is the best pint you can get in Charlestown. Might be that it is, or it might be that it's the driver's friend who owns it, but it doesn't matter. It's a decent pint. Anyway, this video is not about Charlestown, as I said. It's going to be a Guinness tour, a Guinness fuel tour of Galway and its pubs. So I'm going to wait till Adrian collects me, and I'll see you in Galway a couple of pints later. Okay, Muttonistas, another pit stop. We haven't even got to Galway. We are actually very close here. And we're at the Merlin bar, which is also quite a big off-licence for people to take stuff home from. It's almost on an industrial estate on the outskirts of Galway. Not touristy at all, but a lot of you have told me that the Guinness is really good here. So let's find out. And as I suspected, this is a locals bar. Not touristy at all, but really busy at 6 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and lots of people on the Guinness. I can't wait. I think it's got all the right signs of a pub with a great pint. Okay, Muttonistas, this looks good. Perfectly formed head, no bubbles, not particularly cold but cool, and I have to say, it is flying out here. Although I've been told that the locals don't like these tulip style glasses, they like it from a straight pint pot. Very interesting that. I must admit, for me it doesn't really matter what the glass is, just how good the pint is. Oh yeah, that is a creamer. That is a creamer. I'd be surprised if it's the top pint I could have in Galway, but wow, what a great start to our tour of the city, because this is quality and it's not too expensive either. Okay, Muttonistas, final pub of day one. Bit tired tonight, so it's going to roll on to day two and to day three, this vlog, and Freeney's. If you look outside, you wouldn't actually think this was a pub, okay? You might think it's an offie with those bottles at the back, but all those other general haberdashery, knives, all that sort of other stuff, you'd think it's just a general store. But it isn't. Some might cynically say it's somewhere where you could lose the other half for a few pints, but I think it's well enough known here that everybody will go there knowing that they're getting a pint. Anyway, I remember coming here and being shocked on my first visit to Galway probably 20 odd years ago, thinking, what are we doing going in here? And then seeing the magic that goes on inside. So Muttonistas, I'm going to take you inside and let's see whether the pint is as good as I remember it to be. Okay, Muttonistas, what a result we have got here. A busy, heaving pub, Freeney's, on a Friday night, and there happens to be a little quiet room where I can film with some local Muttonistas.
Thomas and Joe.
We have been told that the Guinness is being drunk into form tonight. I hope that's true. I remember this place had a wow factor for me 20 years ago when I first came here, but let's hope it's still up to the same standard. That's a pretty tasty pint. Possibly doesn't have the wow factor that it used to have for me, but I would take this over anything in Britain any day. Anyway, Muttonistas, I'm going to finish off day one here and probably have a pint or two more. And I've just been told that they do actually sell fishing tackles here, whatever that means. I'm sure that means rods and reels and what have you. Used to be Swiss Army knives back in the day. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow for some more Guinness and possibly a bit of food. Okay, Muttonistas, I've been telling you fibs, I've been telling you pork pies. I said we're going to roll the video on to tomorrow, but no. Thankfully, Adrian spotted that Beamish was available, and having brought you Beamish from its home in County Cork, it would be remiss of me, totally remiss of me, to not show you whether it travels or not all the way to Galway. Hey, that's not bad actually. It's got that Beamish smokiness. And I wonder actually, is this a better bet here than the Guinness? Have I had too many pints tonight? I'll tell you what, I'm loving this though. Anyway, see you tomorrow, Muttonistas. Well, Muttonistas, I didn't realise this existed. Look at all this. I mean, a fisherman's dream. Every bit of tackle you could want. And I thought it was just a front for the pub, but I'm wrong. Afternoon, Muttonistas. Little break from the Guinness. Well, not quite, because I'm going to have a pint here as well. But it's food time. Last night was a bit heavy, of course, but I've recovered and I'm racing into form again. A place I keep coming to time and time again when I'm in this part of Ireland is Moran's Oyster Cottage in Kilcolgan, or Kilcolgan. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation there. Very famous for seafood and particularly oysters. Behind me is the weir. It's called Moran's on the Weir, or it used to be called that at least. Moran's Oyster Cottage, Moran's on the Weir, however you want to describe the restaurant. And people often say, oh, Mutton, what are you doing? There's no R in the month and you're eating shellfish. But first of all, a lot of places have improved their shellfish farming techniques. And behind me is a year-round cold channel where I believe, or maybe it's nearby, they get some of their oysters. They have some of the finest oyster beds in Ireland, and I'm really looking forward to this. And again, so lucky with the weather. It was a glorious day yesterday when we arrived. Same today. I hope this lasts all weekend. And what a day it would be to eat outside. Unfortunately, I could only book a table inside, but the shellfish is so good. We're going to have a great time regardless. Now then, Muttonistas, Moran's on the Weir does also serve good Guinness as well as good shellfish and wine. And even though I do have to disappoint you all and say I think wine's a better match with oysters, and I'm going to match them with an American Chardonnay, it would be remiss of me not to review the Guinness for you here. I've had it before, it's been great in the past, surely it's going to be great again. That is a fantastic pint. It's making me question, actually, whether I should have ordered the white wine, but I have. Right, the first of our food has arrived. Jigger oysters, which I believe was first found in the Pacific a long time ago. So an unusual type of oyster, in my opinion, to see here in Ireland. But I guess they're now native to Ireland. Last time I was here, I had the flat ones, which were very similar to the Galician style of oysters. So no idea how much I'm going to enjoy them. And we have a bowl of local clams as well. Now, I have got white wine, as I said earlier, and I'm going to have that mainly with my food. But just for the purpose of investigative journalism, I'm going to try an oyster with this lovely Guinness. The oysters are great. Not messed about with them much, just put a bit of lemon on them. Not sure, yet again, whether this business about Guinness and oysters matching is right. It's okay. I prefer white wine, as I said earlier, but I could have Guinness with anything. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this pint and have more oysters and clams. I'm pretty sure clams and Guinness isn't a great match, so let me get on with this, Muttonistas, and I'll be right back with you. Right, Muttonistas, lovely little drop from California, Russian River Valley. It's an unoaked Chardonnay, which is quite unusual. In my opinion, most Chardonnays from the United States that I've had are quite heavily oaked. Anyway, let's give it a whirl, a quick slurp. Yeah, I do like that. I wish it were oaked, but having carefully examined the wine list here, I thought this was the best bet. And yes, the Guinness police are going to slaughter me for this, but this is a better match. Clam time, white wine, butter, we think lemon and bay leaf. Oh yeah, buy it, they're gorgeous. And they were on the specials list, so no guarantees if you come here that you'll see them. But if you do, I think they're a must order. Right, Muttonistas, mains have arrived. Quick slurp and down to the table. Okay, first, Moran's seafood platter, smoked salmon, prawns, crab, and the fish and dish of the day, which is monkfish on a bed of mash, a little asparagus, and a pepper sauce. And yes, we're in Ireland, so there have to be potatoes. Since it's hot and the other dish won't go cold, we'll start with the monkfish. Yep, tender, meaty. Oh, that's not actually mash, it's celeriac puree. And before you say, oh, mutton, celery, celeriac, I don't mind the celeriac root. It's the celeriac flour and celery that I don't like. And you might think a pepper sauce, or a green pepper sauce, is a little bit odd with fish, but with a meaty fish like a monkfish, it actually works pretty well. Another quick slurp and on to the shellfish platter. First the prawn, and what a big prawn that is. I'm not sure where they actually get these from. Bigger than your average prawn, I'd say. And bursting with flavour. I just wish they hadn't poured the Mary Rose sauce over it. A lot of people like it, popular in Britain and Ireland, but I prefer the natural produce. Crab time. Again, I avoided the bit that's been smothered in Mary Rose sauce, and that is beautiful. That is as fresh as you can get. You can taste the sea, taste the firm flesh. That is a must order, I think, if you're here in Muttonistas. What a crab. And finally, the salmon. Nice cure, quite lightly smoked, but delicious nonetheless. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this Muttonistas, finish my food, finish my wine, and then we'll head back to Galway for more comprehensive reviewing of Guinness. And of course, I've had the great opportunity to meet local Muttonistas here who are telling me that I have come to the right place here. I am at Taaffes, and so many of you have written into me saying, you've got to review Taaffes, you've got to review Taaffes. Also, the Crane. So now I'm going to review the two big hitting pubs, the Crane and Taaffes. Now, it's such a glorious day, I'm going to drink the pint outside, but I'll give you a little bit of a view of the interior of the pub before I come and taste the all-important beverage. Right, Muttonistas, an alfresco pint review. I'm looking forward to this one. Please don't let me down. Absolutely beautiful. What a creamer. And more Muttonistas in the streets of Galway. This is wonderful.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Well, those boys were having a good time. Let's have another little sip, because it's fair to say I was interrupted now. Yeah, this counts as a creamer, this does. Having said that, I think the pint that I had earlier on at Moran's maybe just edges this. That is incredible for a seafood restaurant, but make no mistake, this is a good one. Now, something of interest, Muttonistas, an awful lot of British people never set foot in Ireland, and I hear a whole range of excuses for not coming, and sure, not everybody likes Guinness, but there's so much to see and do, and it's a glorious day today, and one of the excuses I hear the most, oh, the weather's foul, it's terrible, it's shocking, but look at this, we're drinking outdoors, and it's only the 1st of June. Anyway, this pint has actually grown on me a bit, but it's still not the holy grail that I was hoping it would be. Don't get me wrong, really good pint, better than anything I've had in Britain, but not one of the top handful in Ireland. Okay, Muttonistas, I'm going to finish this one off. 3 more pubs tonight before we roll the video on to day 3, because I'm not going to present this stuff to you when I'm on the floor having had 20 pints or something. No, honestly, I don't have that many in an evening. But the next one is the one that you Muttonistas have demanded I visit the most. So hopefully I'll find what I'm looking for over there. Right, Muttonistas, the most requested pub in Galway from you, the viewers, the Crane Bar. There are Muttonistas in there, they've come and met me, so hopefully they're drinking it into form, and I'm going to find what I'm looking for, the holy grail of Guinness in Galway here. If not, we've got a few more pubs to come after this, but from what I've heard from everybody, this is the place to be at the moment to drink Guinness. Supposedly a bit of an old men's bar, but they even have a little terrace here. And these old men's bars are actually sometimes the best place to go. And wow, look at that. 10 pints settling in a row on top of the bar. Surely this is going to be like paradise, this is. Right, Muttonistas, here we are at the bar of the Crane. This is the moment of truth. It looks absolutely perfect, this pint does. Virtually the whole pub's on the Guinness as well. Oh yeah, absolute creamer. best of the trip so far. Very, very comfortably so. This Muttonistas is a must-visit pub if you're coming to Galway. Coming to the end of that pint Muttonistas, and it stayed true to the bottom of the glass. Definitely in the lead so far. But as I said, we've got 2 more big hitters to come tonight before we roll the video on to day 3. Right, Muttonistas bonus pint. Now, I did say that the Guinness and the Crane Bar in Galway is the best I've had to date here, and I thought, well, given they serve Beamish as well, I'd better give that a little review. For those of you watching on Instagram, sorry this is coming out in landscape mode because it's the way I definitely have to do my YouTube content. Anyway, I was a big fan of Beamish in Cork, tried one at Freeney's in Galway last night. It was okay, but not as good. But I'm hoping this is going to be a bit of a creamer. Yeah, it is. This is as good as the stuff I was having in Cork, and I have to say, Muttonistas, if you like your stout a little bit smoky, a little bit different, this is a great option here. Wow. Great Guinness, great Beamish here. Don't miss out on this pub when you're in Galway. Okay, Muttonistas, coming to the end of that pint of Beamish, another absolute creamer. I'd love to stay here all night. This is such a great pub, but we have a couple more places to review before I retire for the night and bring you more stuff tomorrow. So let's finish this and head off. Okay, Muttonistas, on to the third pub of evening 2, Tig Coili's famous place. Lots of people have recommended this place as well. I can't see it being as good as the Crane, but I'm pretty sure, given its location and given the number of you who've recommended this pub to me, that I'm going to get a decent pint here. Okay, Muttonistas, Tig Coili, and this looks like another gem of a pint, beautifully poured, and I do recall the Guinness police complaining about heads of this size. I don't think that's quite right. Okay, maybe a millimetre here or something like that, but you boys are strict. I mean, I'd love to see what you all consider perfect. Anyway, I'm going to give this pint a go because it's a place of high repute. It is a good pint. I'll give them that. It is a good pint. Coming in second behind the Crane, very close to the Crane. This is a creamer. This is a pint that's on form. Wow. I'm looking forward to my second one for the Instagram review for those of you who follow me on there as well.
Everyone wants to visit Ireland anyway, so
Okay, Muttonistas, one more place to go to, and don't you just love these long summer nights? There are 21 days to go where the days lengthen. It's 10:15, absolutely as bright as a button here, and I have to say it makes for a great evening out. Anyway, let's move on to the next place for the final pint of day 2. Okay, Muttonistas, final pub of day 2, Noctons. I know it's spelt in Irish and I can't pronounce Irish, but everybody's told me it's called Noctons. Quick pizza stop to sustain ourselves. Very nice, thin, crispy pizza just next door. So if you're here, if you want a snack, that's a great place to go to. We tried to get dinner, but after 10 o'clock, nowhere at all was open. But hopefully I'll be able to sustain myself on the reputedly excellent Guinness here. Right, Muttonistas, Noctons. We were very lucky to find one of the private little snugs available because some people just happened to leave at the right time. The pint looks pretty good, packed out pub, people sitting outside as well. Isn't it lovely to be able to do that in Britain and Ireland at the beginning of June? Weather can be so variable. Anyway, of course, the most important thing is how the Guinness tastes. Oh yeah, that is a pretty creamy little number, that is. Oh, I don't know how to rate this in terms of the places I've been to tonight. Just had a slice of pizza, might affect my taste buds. So I'm thinking number 3 here, after the Crane and Tig Coili's. Very, very difficult to assess because so many good pints here, but this is a very, very solid and decent pint, Muttonistas. Okay, Muttonistas, first pub of day 3, and this is a pub that a lot of you local Muttonistas have told me I have to visit, Hughes Bar. Some of you say it's an old man's bar, but on a Sunday afternoon I would have thought maybe it would be more family oriented and more women visiting. Anyway, we'll find out when we go inside. I've got high hopes for this bar, and as you can see, it's not actually in the main tourist drag. It's a little bit outside, not very far away, not far to walk, but nor is it a place that I expect many of you would go to unless you watch vlogs like these. Okay, Muttonistas, you might see that I've already had my first sip from this pint, and the reason was that a microphone blew and I was just doing my Instagram review, and having done my YouTube pint earlier, I realised there's going to be no sound. However, we've rectified the problem. It means there'll be another pint on its way. Oh no, a third pint in here for me to complete my business here. Anyway, I'll have another sip for you. And this is an absolute creamer, a mighty fine pint, and I'd say, folks, we have a new leader. This is the best pint I've had in Galway on this trip. Really smooth, rich, not bitter. I mean, it's got everything you want. And if you're here in Galway, you've got to come here. Put it on your list. Don't be worried about the location. It's only a 5-minute walk from the main tourist drag. Anyway, Muttonistas, I'd say the crowd's more middle-aged than a group of old men drinking here. Quite a few ladies coming out on a Sunday afternoon, and most importantly, a lot of people on the Guinness. I'd say about 2/3 of the customers here are on it, which is great because it's been drunk into form. I'm going to have to get another pint to redo my Instagram review. That will be 3 pints here, but oh no, what a shame that is when the Guinness is so good. I mean, sometimes there are pubs you go into and the beer's so good that you just want to spend the whole afternoon or evening here. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I've got other places to review. But maybe, just maybe, I might come back after I've done them all for a cheeky late one. Right, Muttonistas, 3 to go. On to Garavans on Shop Street, the busiest commercial street in the centre of Galway. Can this really match what I've just had at Hughes? I'd be surprised, but it should be a decent pint anyway. And in case any of you come here and say, oh no, I didn't think much of that pint at Hughes, I can only review what's in front of me, and I picked the right place on the right day there for sure. Anyway, Garavans is located on Shop Street a little bit further down than most of the pubs in the pedestrianised areas. Doesn't mean it's bad though. Had a look to see what people were drinking outside, and it's only a third Guinness. Anyway, it's offered a different story inside, so let's get in and give that pint a try. And what a result, Muttonistas. We've managed to get the snug. It's not often on a busy Sunday afternoon that you're able to get the snug to yourselves. If you don't know what a snug is, it's a sort of enclosed small area with its own service hatch where people can come for a bit of privacy. That's another solid one. It's actually not bad at all. Not as good as Hughes, but it is a pretty good pint. It's very creamy, and it seems to me that some of the places I expected to be the best before I came here haven't quite lived up to their reputation. Not that they're serving bad pints, but some of these places that I put on the list to do at the end, wow, they're serving up some great stuff.
Have a pint of Guinness, please.
So there you are, Muttonistas. That's how it works in the snug of an Irish pub. Very, very cosy setting, and I love it when I can get these snugs, which is very rare. If you check out my Dublin videos, Walsh's in Stony Batter, a very, very good pub for Guinness, I was lucky enough to get one there and share snug with some Muttonistas. Anyway, I'll finish this off and we'll move on to pub number 11. Now then, Muttonistas, don't say I don't go the extra mile for you. And Pucan, I hope I've pronounced it correctly, the bar behind me. And I believe that they actually serve a decent pint of Guinness Zero here as well. So those of you who don't drink, who like to try the non-alcoholic stuff, I'm going to review one for you here. Of course, and an alcoholic pint, so the number of pints is going up to 13. Okay, Muttonistas, your bonus pub and Pucan. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation there. And they also have Guinness Zero here. I'm going to have the alcoholic version first so I can compare and contrast. And it's a pub that I've actually been to, I think 25 years ago. One of the two pubs along with Freeney's that I remembered from my earlier visits here. But whether the Guinness is any good or not, I'm not sure. The people who messaged me the reviews said it's quite good but not outstanding. But anyway, Muttonistas, I'm here to bring you the final verdict. Yeah, solid, decent. In fact, some of the more famous pubs I've been to here have not been as good as this. I wouldn't say it's the top place. Hughes still has that for me, but this was pretty good. And of course, this is going to double up as an Instagram reel as well as my YouTube video because I don't have the capacity to drink 2 pints at every pub if I'm going to bring you extra pubs. Now, Muttonistas, you might ask me, why have I brought you this pub? Well, first of all, it's a decent pub. It's a reasonably highly rated pub, but it's also opposite my hotel, which makes a big difference. And it is an enormous bar, I have to say. That lovely beer garden outside. I'm not really into Gaelic football, but I could see myself really enjoying watching a football or a cricket game. Well, they probably don't have cricket, but football games here at this pub. Anyway, I'm also going to try the non-alcoholic version of Guinness here as well. There are a number of places in Ireland that serve it. Very hard to find it outside Ireland other than in a can, but I owe it to you, Muttonistas, if you don't drink and you enjoy my content, to tell you how good it is on draft. I've only had it once before, and that was at the Guinness Storehouse, where it was much better than the disgraceful pint of Guinness they give you for free with your ticket. Okay, Muttonistas, no Guinness Zero. I saw a tap with forged Irish stout, which I've been keen to try in Ireland, and they both got hammered at the weekend, so it's back to the regular Guinness. At least they have the sense to make sure they have ample supplies of that. Anyway, this pint's going to be saved for my Instagram review. Having had 2 pints here, I can do that. So I'll see you at the next pub, and you won't get to see this one, unless, of course, you wander over to my Instagram channel. Well, Muttonistas, having failed to get an alcohol-free Guinness at Pucan, I moved round the corner on Eyre Square to O'Connell's, very much in the centre of Galway, and whilst the interior of the bar and the exterior looks like any other pub, out at the back in the courtyard, magical, absolutely magical. Anyway, I wish I'd have had time to try the regular Guinness, but I didn't, nor the stomach space, so I just tried a non-alcoholic Guinness there, called a Guinness Zero. Lots of flavour, a little sweeter than the regular Guinness, to make up for the profile of flavour, but it's still a great drink. All the flavours you'd expect from a regular Guinness without the alcohol, a great choice in my opinion for people who don't want to drink. Well, what should have been the final pub stop ended up being the penultimate stop, Murphy's, back in the main drag. Not one of the pubs that many people had told me to go to, but the local Muttonistas did. And what a friendly bunch they were there, especially the customer you're about to see who approached me. Anyway, there were a few Muttonistas inside, without me actually having announced that I was going there, and I was rewarded with a very smooth, creamy pint. In fact, an absolute creamer. Not a hint of bitterness, all the subtle notes you'd expect from a Guinness, and at first I thought maybe it was the second best pint I'd had on the trip, after Hughes, but maybe the pint I had at the pub afterwards surpassed it. Who knows, maybe, just maybe, I was thinking of the last pint I had and thinking, oh, it's another creamer, as most of the pints were, and it was the second best because it was the one I just had. But all I can say, folks, is that it's another place that you really have to include on your pub crawl of Galway. Muttonistas, the final stop, and I'm not messing about here, it definitely was the final pub, the Bunch of Grapes. I have to be thankful that some of you advised me to visit this place, because looking at the outside and the terrace, with not that many people at the time on the Guinness, I wasn't sure whether I really ought to be reviewing the place. But I do trust your recommendations, and it was definitely the case that I was served up with a creamer here. When I went inside, again, a different world, very, very traditional settings for an Irish pub, and the Guinness was flying out all over the place. At one stage, 4 or 5 right in front of me on the bar, and another 4 or 5 a bit further along the bar. Always a good sign. Look at that lacing, lacquering stick, whatever you want to call it. Smooth, creamy, hints of chocolate, hints of coffee, very, very subtle, restrained. Just behind Hughes's. Now it was definitely the second best pint I had on the tour. That was not cognitive bias because it was the last one I had. It was nearly as good as Hughes, but not quite as good. Okay, Muttonistas, the final stop on the Galway pub crawl is the Bunch of Grapes. An absolute creamer of a pint. If you're coming here on a pub crawl of Galway, you should include this in your pub crawl. Probably number 2, actually. It's very hard to gauge because I've had so many good pints here. I'd still say Hughes was the best I had over this weekend. I know there are some pubs that I could have included, and you're going to say, oh, you should have come here, you should have come there. Salt Hill, many places that I've been before, and I would have liked to have included, but I didn't have the time. But as always, I'm going to have to love you and leave you again, Muttonistas. Please remember to keep liking, push my videos up the algorithm, hit the bell button so you're notified of all my latest videos. Please share them amongst all your friends, but most of all, don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.